In this presentation, I'm going to go over Habiba Washington's affidavit and Jacob York's involvement in the wrongful arrest and conviction of Reverend Dr. Malachi Kobina York. On the 23rd of April in 2004, Habiba Abigail Washington submitted an affidavit video to the DeKalb County Justice System. At the time, Habiba was 28 years old. She stated that sometime in May, back in 2001, on a trip to Florida, that her, Jacob, and a few other females that they knew she had a conversation with Dr. Malachi Kobina York's son, Jacob York. In her recantment video, as well as in her affidavit, she admitted that Jacob told her that she should go to the FBI with a false story against Dr. York, and told her that there was a rumor that the FBI had her name and knew that she was in charge of the land for some period of time. She also went on to say that Jacob stated that there were rumors that children were talking to the FBI and telling them that they were being molested, and that her name came up in these alleged conversations, saying that she knew what was going on. Keep in mind that Jacob York keeps stating that there is a rumor going around. None of this is based on any personal eyewitness of his own, just allegations that he is making up to coerce Habiba into his plot. Jacob York goes on to point out his reasons for his plot, saying that he wanted his father to go to jail, and he doesn't think his father deserves to live. And to make sure nothing happens to them, they can go to the land and kidnap them. After these things were communicated to Habiba by Jacob, he told her to think about it, and that particular conversation was over. On their way back from Florida, Jacob proposed his offer to Habiba and the other girls that were in the car again about his plot to kidnap kids off of Tamaray, and that Habiba should go to the FBI with a story against Dr. Malachi Kobina York. When Habiba was uncooperative with Jacob, he went on to say all of the things that could happen to her, saying that they could have locked her up, her kids taken away from her, and different things of that nature if she does not comply with him. And other people will go to the FBI first, saying that she is involved with all the things that they claim were going on. Jacob also believes that his father is a coward and thinks that he had something to do with his mother's death and does not deserve to live. Well, after listening to him, Habiba starts to believe Jacob and agrees to go along with Jacob's plot. After Habiba, Jake, and the other girls got home, they all decided to stay at his house, and he showed them documentaries on Charles Manson, David Koresh, and Jim Jones, with hopes of giving them further convictions against Reverend Dr. Malachi Kobina York by trying to compare the Nuwaubian community to those extremist cults. Now, if all of this sounds a little disturbing to you, then you are not going to want to miss the concluding part of this video. But before I close out this presentation, I will show you a clip from Habiba Washington's recantment video.
Hello, my name is Habiba Washington, and today I'm here to put on record the truth behind all of the lies brought up in the case against Malachi York. I'm going to start off by saying that I'm not being forced, threatened, coerced, or pressured to do this tape. I am also going to state that, as you can tell, I'm not under any kind of influence, alcohol or drug. I want to begin with all of the events that led up to the final verdict in the case against Malachi. I want to start off with how it started, where it started, when, and the reason why. I left the community in February of 2001. I moved from Georgia and I went to New York and lived with my family. In about March of 2001, I was contacted by Jacob. Jacob is the son of Malachi York. He's also an ex-member. Jacob contacted me, and our conversation was basically about the good times that we had in the community, what we went through, how we grew up, just making up for old times. 2 months after that, Jacob called me. This was in May. Jacob called me about a trip to Florida. A trip where a lot of some of the girls and boys that were going down, ex-members that were going to go down to Florida just to hang out, to have fun, or whatever. I agreed to go on the trip. I told Jacob that I would come on the trip. I left from New York, went to Georgia. We all met up at Jacob's house. It was me, Jacob, Nicole Lopez, Noor Rashid, East, Esther, probably some other girls and boys that I don't remember. Before we actually went down to Florida, I had a conversation with Jacob outside of his house, and Jacob brought up some feelings that he had about his father. Jacob was really upset with his father. He stated that he hated his father, that he felt that his father doesn't need to be alive, that he shouldn't even be given life. He felt that his father needs to just rot in jail. Jacob wanted all of us meaning me, Nicole, Karima. He was talking to a couple of people, different people that left the community. He wanted us to bring a case against his father. Jacob told me that some of the girls and boys that left the community had went to the government about different things that was going on in the community, meaning child molestation. Before I left the community, I was the main person in charge of the finances, as well as in charge of anything that went on with the community, the living, eating, anything, the financial, anything that happened regarding any of the members in the community. I dealt with that, so I was basically in charge. Jacob told me that the FBI knew who I was, and that they were told about certain things that I've done in the community, and some of those things I can be incriminated for. Jacob told me that if I don't go to the FBI first, then they would come after me, they would incarcerate me, they would take my children away from me, because there are things that they were told about me that could incriminate me. When Jacob first talked to me about that, I was not interested in bringing out any charges against his father. I didn't see any reason. I didn't believe that anything was going on. I didn't believe that anything was wrong. We wasn't doing any criminal acts. Jacob brought up the fact that I had a son by his father at 17 years old. I told Jacob that my son with his father was never, it never came about because I was forced to have sex with his father. Yes, I was 17 years old, and yes, I did agree to having a child with his father at that age. I understood my age, I understood his age. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I consented to it. So I told Jacob that that's the way that I felt. I didn't feel that anything wrong happened, that we both agreed to it. I felt that I was an adult, it was my decision, and I went with it. But Jacob proceeded to say that there were some things that some of the other members, some of the other ex-members had went to the government with, and that I should really, really talk to them and see what's up, and see how I can clear my name so that I'm not prosecuted for any of those things. We all went to Florida after that conversation, and during our trip to Florida, we had several conversations in the car with Jacob. It was some other boys that were there, and Jacob started talking about going on the land and taking some of the kids, just kidnapping some of the children off the land. He was talking about my sister. My sister was still there. My youngest sister, Isla, was still there. And he wanted us to just go up there and just take her and take some of the other little girls and boys off the land, because he didn't feel that they should be living on the land with his father. But we had all agreed that that was not going to happen. You know, none of us was interested in going up on the land and kidnapping anybody.